Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ìpínlẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ. Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ulẹ̀ òyì ní. Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ìmọ̀ tí gòkè àgbà o. Ayé ayé a ò láyé ọmọ fáyé.
So that's for rolling. My name is Kayode Fayemi.
Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ìpínlẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ.
All seasons are strategy sessions for responsible leaders. It is doubly so in trying times such as we're in, when the urgency to think and act fast at the same time sets the man at the helm of affairs apart from the rest. Hello and welcome to Ekiti On The Move. I am Tunji Saliu. Let's kick off this episode with our quick takes. Stay with us. In focus this week, taking charge in challenging times, the leadership edge. Nothing tests the efficacy and preparedness of a leader in difficult times than mobilizing others and leading the charge to rise to the occasion. In Ekiti State, like other southwest states, it was the spate of insurgency that got everyone worried. And then COVID-19, the virulent visitor, crept into the world to task leadership across jurisdiction. And for both challenges, here is the Ekiti story.
Ekiti shall once again play its rightful role as an integral part of the development agenda for Western Nigeria, down, and work with other descendants of Oduduwa in our sister state to leverage our respective strengths and comparative advantages in order to fast-track the development of the region. Perhaps it is in keeping with this promise that Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi and other governors in the 6 southwest states rose to the occasion when the entire zone came under severe and incessant attacks by marauders and hoodlums who audaciously invaded farmlands, forests and highways where they carried out their deadly enterprise of armed banditry, robbery, kidnapping, rape, farm destruction and killings. A major move that was made was the establishment of Operation Amatekun, the Western Nigeria Security Network. The state governors left no one in doubt when they gathered in Ibadan for the formal launch of the security initiative. Before then, hundreds of utility vehicles had been procured by the state for the takeoff of the security network.
The protection of our people is paramount, and all governors of our region are united in the resolve to put in everything, and we mean everything, including our God-given talents, to ensure that there is peace and security in Southwest.
As governors of these states, it is our priority to ensure that both indigenes and settlers living within the boundaries of our various states can carry out their legitimate activities in a secure environment.
As elected leaders of our various states, our primary responsibility, according to Section 14(2) of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, is the security and welfare of our citizens. Just as some of us are unapologetic Yoruba indigenes, we are also very proud Nigerians. And we will do everything to protect the integrity of our country. So there's no conflict. Our primary interest is the security and safety of our people. and we will continue to do all within our powers to push the frontiers of this collective security initiative.
But the Ibadan launch, rather than galvanize the entire country to face up to a crippling banditry, opened up another challenge that nearly aborted the birth of the new security initiative, that is, the absence of a legal framework for its establishment. From then on, the participating state had to demonstrate their commitment to what they believed was a solution to a growing menace. Would the leaders rise to the occasion? In record time and in tandem with the body language of a governor who never chickens out when it is time to act, Ekiti State led the way by coming up with a legal framework that became a model for institutionalization of the network.
About the house owners in Ekiti State. Let every house owner in Ekiti State know who they are bringing in as tenants. This establishment of this Amateku, they know the theory very well. I'm of the opinion that Amateku should skate through in the name of Almighty God.
We are settled up because we can see the desirability of this bill. And we on our part, we know that if we are passing this law, we know that we are responding to the yearnings of our people. And we must also state that every point made, we have noted them, and we are going to make necessary adjustments as possible accordingly on all the sections noted by the AP, the MBS chairman, our SS security, and every other one, every point made by our cabinet. We have seen it, and we are going to do justice to it.
And then on March 16, 2020, just about 2 months after the launch of the security network in Ibadan, Dr. Kayode Fayemi signed the Amateku bill into law in Ado-Ekiti.
You have successfully addressed all the gray areas and equally allayed the fears of all and sundry. Of special interest is the part of the law that expressly spells it out that Ekiti State Security Network, Amateku, will collaborate with and assist the police and other security agencies in gathering information about crime, crime investigation, arrest, and prosecution of persons suspected or involved in kidnapping, terrorism, cattle rustling, cultism, highway robbery, illegal mining, trespass on farmland, illegal logging, and other criminal activity.
If not because the proactiveness of my governor here, we have to give thanks to God and to thank him. So also to other states in the Southwest. I think we thank God. You know, we have very brilliant governors here. Very brilliant. And that they have vision. They can read what could happen tomorrow. Ekiti people will enjoy us, while the criminals will not find it easy in Ekiti. By the grace of God, we will not give them a place to sleep. We will drive them out of here. And I know if they get to Osho, people will drive them away. And by the grace of God, very soon, my governor is in, I would say it's in a hurry for us to take off.
Leadership is a life of contemplation, preparedness for eventualities, and taking charge when others appear to be in a fix. And so everyone was waiting to hear the roaring of Amotekun in the neighborhoods when COVID-19 happened on the world.
Long before Ekiti State got its first index case of the pandemic coronavirus on March 18, 2020, the state had gone ahead to put structures in place to combat the disease if it reared its head in the state. The state governor on March 2 addressed a press conference where he enlightened the public on the disease and assured them of government's proactive measures to prevent its spread in the state.
In Ekiti State, activation of our facilities and infrastructure to manage the infection are in top gear. This requires the active engagement of every stakeholder and resident of our dear state. To this end, I have set up a 14-person Ekiti State Task Force on COVID-19 under my own leadership, with representatives drawn from all relevant sectors of the state, including medical experts. All the CMDs of our various institutions are involved, for example, state government officials, representatives from the legislature, local government chairmen, religious leaders, traditional leaders, sector leaders like the NURTW, Market Association, civil society organizations, and our development partners. We will leave no stone unturned to ensure that the people are prepared to beat the virus and minimize its impact on our economy.
Ekiti
16 days after this sensitization and public enlightenment program, the state recorded its first index case via a driver who brought in some visitors from Ibadan. But it was a prepared state and government that took charge. Governor Fayemi again addressed the state on this index case, the stark reality of COVID-19, and thereafter gave directives to curtail the spread in line with global standards.
ọmọ Fáyẹmí òwò ọmọ ní ṣe bẹbẹ o láyé ìyẹ àlùlé lóko lọ́nà ọjà o.
Any infectious disease, the very first thing you want to do is to prevent it from happening. And the moment you get it, you want to contain it so it doesn't spread across the whole town, across the whole state. And in doing that, what we did is that our infectious prevention control team started giving us some materials, some from the federal government, from NCDC, some locally made. There was translation to the local dialect, to Pidgin English. There was a time we have our materials translated to about 5 languages or dialects. And all these things were being thrown out to the marketplace, to the churches. And I think we are one of the first states to lock down. That has decreased the number of possible infected people in our state.
As a responsible leader, Dr. Kayode Fayemi once surrendered himself for a test after having come in contact with 2 people who tested positive to the virus. Thankfully, the result came out negative. Even there, the concern was beyond his person.
I must confess that the period of waiting for the result of my test was a difficult moment for me. As a responsible leader, my thought was not about my result, but about people around me and those I have made contact with. The palpable fear of someone being infected through me was more tormenting than my own personal well-being. On this note, I implore you to let us take responsibility for our life and the lives of those around us.
It soon became expedient that stricter measures would have to be put in place to curtail the spread of the rampaging virus. These included restriction of movement of residents via dusk to dawn curfew, ban on social gathering, and closure of businesses to enforce social distancing. In spite of the great inconveniences these measures will cause government and the public, the governor bravely took the hard decision to lock down in the overall interest of the public's health and well-being.
Òpinlẹ̀ Èkìtì mo ti gòkè àgbà o, ayé ayé a ò láyé ọmọ Fáyẹmí. Òpinlẹ̀ Èkìtì.
Barely 1 week after the governor's broadcast, the food parks were ready for distribution. Governor Fayemi flagged off the ceremony.
Let me emphasize that the food parks are meant for identified individuals and their households on the vulnerable persons register or other persons that we have additionally identified to be in genuine need. These parks are not meant to be distributed for streets or wards to share. Under no circumstances must the seal on the parks be tampered with till they get to the identified beneficiaries. Ekiti, I assure you all that this exercise has no political coloration. The allocations will be depoliticized. Therefore, our community and religious leaders, and most importantly, our traditional rulers, are actively involved to ensure smooth distribution of the items.
One of the major planks of Governor Fayemi's governor's agenda is the restoration of the dignity of the Ekiti person, who in recent past had gone through the trauma of executive recklessness and leadership deficit. The distribution of the COVID-19 relief packs is a clear testimony to how Governor Fayemi regards Ekiti people, are people of honor and integrity who deserve to be treated as such, irrespective of their circumstances and social standing.
It has to do with the class of the governor himself. You have to have class to demonstrate class. You have to have class to choose the people around you who also think like you. Okay, that's all I can say. I mean, it's always insulting for you to go into a big crowd and be throwing things to them, and then they'll be scrambling as if they're dogs. It's only dogs you throw things to, and they start to scramble. The first set of food was based on the social register, where the very vulnerable. The idea had always been to give to the vulnerable. But in this pandemic, there's the natural or poor vulnerable, but there was also the economic vulnerable. Those who became vulnerable as a result of the fact that we locked them down, the seamstress, the mechanic, etc. So we had to expand, show that every single person in Ekiti knows somebody who got a palliative, not because of party affiliation.
From both audio and video feedbacks that were sent back, you'll be surprised that over 90% of the beneficiaries were not aware that something was actually coming for them. So it was a huge surprise when you get to each environment, you knock the house, hello, I'm looking for Madam so-so-so. You see that the person is sleeping or in fact thinking of what to eat. The beauty of it, that whatever is designed for these people actually reached them, and that it got to them at the moment of need, which shows there is even blessing in the package.
As the food packs were being distributed across the state, the governor again flagged off the distribution of cash transfer to 5,000 Ekiti indigents in partnership with the National Cash Transfer Office. This wouldn't have come at a better time.
Gómìnà wa àti ọ̀gá wa lókè pátápátá tó kó èsì lọ́wọ́ fún wa tójú bá sì ti wọ́n ìyà ti pọ̀ jù lọ́tà dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ máa ràn lọ́wọ́ lọ́wọ́ dẹ̀ tì wọ́n lẹ́yìn.
Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín o, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ̀yin ìjọba wa lórúkọ Jésù àìsàn kúkúrú kò ní wọ àárín wa lẹ́kìtì o. Mo fẹ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Fáyẹmí dáadáa àṣeyẹ là ń ṣèjọba rẹ o mo gbé pé mo tún lọ sọ́dọ̀ Buhari lókè Ọlọ́run lọ́ra ẹ̀mí fún bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń ṣèpò ìlera bá ti gòkè torí mo fẹ́ kọ́mọ mi náà kó gòkè àti ṣe cooperative à ń yára wa lówó ní gúrùpù wa àjẹ́lájẹ́nu.
wọ́n ti tọ́dún bíi mẹ́ta mọ́ ti gbà. mo mi dáhùn ṣe torí ọmọ mi hàn lọ sí sùkúrù láyọ̀ ebi dẹ̀ pọ́n òyà dẹ̀ jẹ́ tẹ́lẹ̀ níbà ni mo mú mẹ́yà gbàrú oríṣiríṣi ń kété ni mẹ́yà ṣe ṣùgbọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ o ni mo rí mu màá rí mu nínú ẹ̀ o màá mi san sùkúrù ọmọ mi màá mi kọ́ ọmọ mi hàn jẹun ebi ẹ̀rùn pa nìkankan mo yin lọ́rùn lógo ìbá mi yin lọ́rùn lógo.
For all its efforts, the state has recently been rated R in the COVID-19 Response Index. In a study carried out by an independent research center, Steers Business, Ekiti was rated second among the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, scoring 8 out of 10 points. Some of the criteria used in arriving at this result include government's action on restriction of movement to prevent the spread, closure of borders, ordering of lockdown and enactment of emergency law to ensure compliance, existence of isolation center, provision of palliative parks to vulnerable residents, among others. As we speak, the 48-hourly COVID-19 press briefing by members of the task force continues to give updates as scheduled. A 150-bed isolation center is already in operation, just as a modular testing facility has been acquired. Distribution of relief packs started over a month ago and is still ongoing as more commodities are received from donors, both corporate and individuals. A 47-member COVID-19 Resource Mobilization Committee set up by government and made up of eminent Ekiti sons and daughters has also risen to the occasion with donations in both cash and kind and in line with the administration's renown for transparency and accountability. The list of donors and donations has been published and also available in the state government's website. At the heart of it all is good and responsible leadership. Ekiti State sure as it.
These are proactive, responsive decision of the leader, which is the governor. He's the only one that can make that decision. He can talk to us. He makes the final decision. The buck stops by him. So whatever the leader does, a leader that is proactive, a leader that is not just reactive, that is responsive to things and is very decisive in the way they do things, he does things, it makes a lot of difference.
The whole purpose of government has been to consider the citizens as our own children. Pardon the phraseology, but that's the best way to think of this, that you have a child who needs to be protected from the world. And every day we are saying, what else must we do to ensure that this child does not die in our hands? What else must we do to ensure that the citizens who elected the governor, who chose us as working with him, what else can we do to ensure that no one dies? And I think that's what we're trying to do.
What more do we add other than to salute the courage, timely response, as well as the sense of purpose of those at the helm of affairs in Ekiti State today? It is indeed restoration time. Just before we go, let's have Ekiti Fact File. That's our package for this week. Thanks for watching. Just to let you know that you can watch this episode and the previous ones on our YouTube channel. You can also reach us through our various social media platforms showing on your screen. See you next time. Goodbye.
Òpinlẹ̀